Well, hello, good evening, and welcome back. We're doing our next segment of About the Valley tonight. We're awaiting the arrival of Jay McMahon. He's a candidate in the primary coming up on Tuesday for Attorney General. I do want to send out my condolences to Robert Alex, his family, to Mary Beth and the children. Robert passed away, I believe, yesterday, and kind of a shock for all of us because it was a fast illness. He was last time I saw him, he looked pretty good. I mean, I saw him at the planning board meeting, and it's kind of you never know. Life is a very precious thing, and you never know when it's going to be taken away from you. So our condolences to the family, to Bob's family, and to his mom, who's still with us. Well, anyway, we've got another show after this as well, and we have an interview with Beth Lindstrom, who actually has a lot of roots in this area. Her father still lives in Sutton, and she is running for the U.S. Senate in a three-way race in the primary there, which is also on Tuesday. Okay, which is Tuesday, the primary. I hope there's a good turnout because there's a lot of contested seats in that primary, and that's just in the primary. Of course, the election comes in November 8th, and whoever makes it through the primary will be on the ballot for November 8th from both parties, and there's a contest in both parties. So it's worth going down. If you're independent, you can take a ballot for either side. You can, if you want, you can't do both, but you can take either Democrat or Republican ballot. If you are not if you are a member of party, if you're declared a party member, then you got to take whatever party you belong to. You take that ballot. And then, of course, in November 8th, there's going to be a lot of questions on a ballot, including a couple from the town here, and the big one being about doing a debt exclusion to build a new Obama school. So a lot of big things coming up, and so get some knowledge. We're going to have as a guest the last Thursday in September. We got people coming in from the building committee on Obama school, and hopefully you call and ask them some questions and get this out in the open so you know where it stands. And if you haven't made the meetings, here's a chance to talk to those people and to get it lined up and to decide what you want to do. And if it makes sense to build a new school, or if you don't think you want to do that, well, hey, as a taxpayer, as a voter, you got a right to make that decision as to which way you want to go. And we got a phone call here. Let's see. Go ahead, you're on.
Hey, good evening, Harry.
Hi, Barry.
Hey, what I would like to say is I would like to also, another person I would like to offer condolences, and hopefully a lot of other town residents also. The chairman of the board, Tommy Amelia's mom, passed away, and I just wanted to bring that up and let everybody know that, and that I offer our deepest condolences, and I hope the viewers of About the Valley also will, when they take note of that.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that. Her wake and funeral are tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. The wake's at 9 o'clock. The funeral is about an hour later, and it's at Jackman Funeral Home. It'll probably be pretty crowded tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. And
92 years old.
Wow, yeah.
She lived a long life, and I helped make it myself.
Well, yeah, but like you said, Harry, you never know today.
No, you don't.
No.
Life is very fragile. I mean, Robert was 67 years old, and I say only because I'm beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've known him all my life. I grew up in Rockdale with him, and like I said, it's sorry to see that happen. I mean, it's why if you know people and you run into him, talk to him, because, man, you may not see him again.
Right. I mean,
But
but I can relate to that on a personal note. My brother was 67 years old. He told his wife that he thought he was coming down with the flu, and he went to bed and he didn't wake up the next morning. So you're right, Harry, and I want to just reinforce everything that you've said. And just a short note, I look forward to the school committee coming on with you, and because there's a lot of issues on the new school. And I'll let you go with that. And thank you, Harry, and thank you everything you do for the town and the excellent staff there at NCTV.
yes, thank you. Yeah, also, next Thursday, we're going to have the representative from Relay Energy, I believe it's called. I haven't got the card with me right now. But they're the ones building the solar farm. And you'll be able to talk about, we'll be talking about the solar and what, how you can sign up to get your electricity from them. Nice, clean way of getting your electricity, and you'd be surprised that it's not as expensive as you might think. And hey, you're helping the environment. And hopefully, Mike, he told me he was only about 5 miles out, so I think he's on his way in now. Jay McMahon is here, and candidate for Attorney General. And you do have a primary battle first.
I do.
Which is next Tuesday. I'm telling people, get out there and vote. People don't think about voting in a primary very often. And it's important because, you're coming up with your final candidate.
And it's going to be the standard bearer for your party. So
Yes.
you want to make sure you got the guy that holds all the values that you hold for your party.
And same for the unenrolled.
Right.
If you want to make sure if you want to vote for someone, look at what these people are representing. And if that's what you like, well, you better get down there and vote for them in their party. Just pick up that party ballot.
That's right.
In your case, the Republican ballot.
That's correct.
And get out there and vote. The problem is, the Secretary of State scheduled it the day after.
Come on,
Labor
can
Day.
you? Do you think maybe he had a primary?
Yeah, I know.
Because he does.
Yes,
okay,
I know.
So I think that might have something to do with it. But
He said no, but come on.
yeah, I know.
Being an incumbent.
Look, we weren't born yesterday.
Right. Incumbents like low turnout.
That's exactly right. Yep.
And I'm sure he's hoping that it's a low turnout.
He certainly planned it that way.
Yeah. And it's not an easy battle for him. It's gotten quite.
Yeah, with Josh Zakem.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been aggressive.
Yes.
I got to tell you this, to his credit, I've been all over the state, and I see Josh out there pounding. He's showing up at places. I was in Springfield 2 weeks ago. Saw him there. He brought a lot of literature, put it on a particular table as a candidates forum. So he's pounded out there. Now I haven't seen Bill Galvin anywhere, but I've seen Josh out there.
And I'll tell you, that's the key.
Mm-hmm.
I've been following politics for a long time. The guys who go out and knock on the doors and say hello to people and meet with people, and statewide, that's a job.
It is.
A lot of area to cover.
It is. There is a lot. So the trick, of course, when you're doing statewide, is to go to the venues where there's a lot of people.
Yes.
And meet them and talk to them.
Yep.
And hopefully, if it's a place where you can get a booth or a table, you can direct people to your literature. So that's basically what I've been doing. And I've been all over the state.
My feeling's always been, every hand you shake, you got a 75% chance of getting that vote.
There you go. That's a good statistic. I'm sure it works because people will listen to you for a few minutes, and if they haven't met the other one, they'll like you because of what you're saying.
Exactly.
Right.
And they like being asked for their vote.
Yeah. Yep.
But let's get with Jay McMahon now. People know about you and who you are. And by the way, this is not just Northbridge. We're on the internet,
Okay.
so they see us everywhere.
Excellent.
I have people in Florida that watch this show.
Wow.
So, from Massachusetts people.
Yeah, right. All the snowbirds, although usually they fly back for the summer.
Well, you retire down there, so you don't have to pay state income tax.
I know. Tell me about it, right?
Of course, if that Gilman, I believe his name, and the Democratic candidate gets in, they're going to have a 20% income tax in Florida just to pay what he wants.
Oh, he's crazy. But you know, that the loony left will do that. They pander to people and just say stuff. We're going to give you this.
Yeah.
I like Bernie Sanders. We're going to give you free education.
Yeah.
What do you think that education is going to be worth? Just what you paid for.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
But anyway, what about yourself? Where you from? And
Okay, well,
what-
I'm from Buzzards Bay, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Buzzards Bay. It's a village in the town of Bourne.
yes.
It's a nice village. It's
Yep.
right on the Cape Cod Canal, and it's the first village you come through when you're visiting Cape Cod.
Yes.
So I love it. The Maritime Academy, the state's Maritime Academy, is Buzzards Bay hosts that, and my office is on Main Street in Buzzards Bay. I live about a quarter of a mile from my office,
Oh.
and I'm a lawyer. I've got a general practice of law. I've been a lawyer for 30 years. And absolutely love it. Prior to being a lawyer, I was 12 years. I was in corporate management. I worked at Scudder Taylor Oil Company. I worked at Cape Cod Bank and Trust, and I worked at Cape Cod Hospital. Several thousand employees at Cape Cod Hospital. I was part of the management there. And then before that, I was 6 years law enforcement. So when I was a young guy, I was 6 years law enforcement on Cape Cod. And I was also 6 years in the military. I was in the Army National Guard. I was a second lieutenant in the military police. I absolutely loved it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, God. The building. I'm trying to think of the armory.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was in the guard too. I was in a regular army. Then went in the guard after.
Okay.
Right here in town. But you
Okay.
you were right there over on the.
Right on the bypass in
Yeah.
Buzzards Bay. That's
Yeah.
right. The 685th Military Police Battalion.
But
That
it's
was
no
me.
longer military police now.
I know it. Yeah, it's something else. You're right.
Right.
They changed it. They changed it sometime in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, we were engineers here, and now it's an infantry unit in there.
Wow.
I was there with engineers, and I got out and went back in, and we were mech infantry.
Well, I'll tell you what. It was kind of a interesting story. I joined in '71, right out of high school. My father said to me, "Listen, get into the Guard, so that you can get some training, and you can get some
Great
rank."
experience.
It was great experience. I loved it, and so I did. I followed his advice. I got in. The guys knew I was a little bit gun ho. Some guys were, some guys weren't. I was. My thing was I was going to make the best of it and have some fun at
Yep.
it, and I did. So a couple of the NCOs got together and said, "Lieutenant so and so wants to see you." And I said, "Really?" I said, "What'd I do?" And they said, "No, nothing. He just wants to see you. Go see him." So I went to see the lieutenant. The lieutenant says, "It's been suggested to us that you go to Massachusetts Military
Yeah,
Academy."
MMA.
Yep, MMA. And I said, "Who suggested this?" He goes, "Some." He didn't. He wouldn't give me a name, and he goes, "It's not for you to know. We just think you should go. That's up to you. That's the decision you make. You're dismissed." And I said, "Well, wait a minute. I'm interested. What do you need from me? You got to fill out the information." I said, "I'll do it." Look, it was like one of those, "Kid, if you're interested, here's your once in a lifetime opportunity," and I recognized it.
Yeah.
So I said, "Captain, I just wanted to know. That's all. I'm just curious." He goes, "All right." So he said, "You got to come." He says, "Come see Captain Bailey, and he'll fill out the paper." So I did, and we filled out the paperwork, and I was told I had to go to the general's name was Hurley. I had to go for an interview.
Oh, I remember General Hurley.
Yes.
Yes.
He was a great guy.
Yeah.
And so I'm interviewing with him, and he's asking me some situational questions, things of what I would do and everything, and I'm answering him. I remember my father telling me, just yes sir and no sir, be short and brief, and they're not there to be your buddy. They're there to see whether you're going to make it or not. So I just answered his questions, everything, and as I was talking, he's writing something down on a piece of paper, and he asked me one more question. Wasn't even looking at me, just asking me questions, and so he's writing things down, and I said, I answered him, and he looked up, and he tore off a piece of paper, he handed it to me, and he goes, "Show up at Camp Curtis Guile in Reading, be there at 6 a.m. on this date." And I said, so I gave him a good snap salute, and said, okay. And I thanked him for his time, and I left. And I read the paper obviously when I got in the car, and I was accepted to the academy. So I went there. I got there a little bit early, and oh, what I saw! They had the TAC officers who were like drill instructors, screaming and yelling at everybody. And I did see people drive in and drive right back out. But fortunately for me, just a year and a half before, I had already gone through basic training, so I was already seasoned, at least with that respect.
Yeah.
So I figured, all right, this is another basic training, and it was. And I was given good advice by a lot of guys. Volunteer for nothing, say nothing, don't laugh, because if they see you laughing, they're going to this and that. But I got through it, and I loved it. It was a great experience for a young guy.
Yeah, it's like a regular Army, it's OCS.
That's just what it was.
Same thing.
And in Massachusetts, one of the few states, you get a federal commission when you get out.
Oh, you do?
I was federally recognized. Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So I liked it.
Yeah, because a lot of places, if you go to the state academy,
Yep.
you'll get an NCO commission,
right.
but not.
I got a federal recognized second lieutenant commission.
Wow.
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so I finished the duration of my. The thing I liked about it was I was a PFC when they told me when they suggested that I go and
Yeah, you became an E5.
automatically.
Yeah.
I skipped. I was never a Spec 4.
I know.
I was never a corporal.
It's a good pay raise.
It was a good pay raise, and I thought to myself, when I started seeing my paycheck, I said, I got to put in the same amount of time,
Yeah.
so might as well get paid. That was great. And the thing about one of my things is running in this election. One of the issues is Second Amendment.
Yeah.
Okay, so it deals with guns, right? I got to fire every gun conceivable in the military arsenal, because here's the theory: you're going to be an officer.
You have to qualify on everything.
You got to know. That's exactly right.
Yes.
Because I like guns anyway. It was great. I could tear apart a machine gun, put it together again. Well, they time you. You got to do it within a certain number of minutes.
Yep.
I always did it, but I was young and quick in those days, and it was fun.
That 60 caliber can be complicated.
It can be, yes. Got all the little connections
Yeah.
and get it in, and if you don't get the spring just right, then you got to do it again. But yeah, it was.
It's a great experience. And then, of course, you were assigned to a unit down at Cape,
Right.
and you spent your summer camp.
Right at
Right.
Otis, Camp
Yeah,
Edwards.
Camp
We loved
Edwards.
it. Yep.
Yeah. I spent a few times there.
Yeah, it's a good.
There
It was a
and
good
Drum.
place. Yeah, Drum was good too. I like Drum. They call it Fort Drum. Used to be
Yes,
Camp Drum.
well,
back
because they
then.
got a permanent unit
They
up
do
there
have a
now.
permanent unit. Yep. And then we also went to Seneca Falls. There's an Army depot up at Seneca Falls.
Oh,
and,
yes.
we also did some drills there. And we also, I remember a couple of times we also drilled in Fort Devens,
Oh,
which I loved. I loved
Yes.
Fort Devens. It's a shame they decommissioned it.
yeah. I went up there. One time we were at the Cape, and we had a unit at Devens, and I was a commo chief, and I had to fly to Devens by chopper to drop some radios off. So it's quite an experience.
That was a
I
good
enjoyed being in the Guard.
Yeah, I did too.
We got a call right here right away.
Excellent.
Go ahead, Carl. You're on. Whoop, wait a minute. I get the speaker didn't work. Hold on.
I
Okay.
wondered if elected, or if you would propose or support any changes to the Massachusetts firearms law.
Say that again.
Which
Would the
one?
attorney support or propose any changes to the Mass firearms laws and regulations?
You mean the one that was recently passed?
I'm sorry?
Are you talking about the firearms law that was recently passed?
Yes.
Okay. I think I get the gist of the question. Let's start with this. Massachusetts has some of the most restricted laws right now when it comes to gun ownership.
You still there, Colin? Right, hung up.
That's all
Okay.
right. That's all right. Well, he wants to hear the answer, so I'm going to give it to him.
Yep.
First of all, the ERPO law, there's no question in my mind it's unconstitutional. It violates too many of the Bill of Rights we have. It violates the Second Amendment, certainly the Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth. I could go into extensive detail, but let me just say this. The Bill of Rights are our rights against the government, not the government's rights to us.
Right, exactly.
They're recognized rights that we are told have been granted to us by our Creator. Now, since we recognize these in our founding documents, I'm going to support the founding documents. And any law that violates it, I'm going to try to get overturned, because the paramount law of the land is the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights, which are the amendments. And so when it comes to the ERPO law, this one they just passed, to be honest, I wish that they had had more discussion. I mean, they passed that law faster than they passed their own pay raise.
I know.
I mean, it was crazy.
It was.
Very little. In the law they passed before that was the bump stock law. Remember that?
Yeah.
How many people have been hurt by a bump stock in Massachusetts? The answer is 0. How about New England? 0. How about the Northeast? 0. How about this side of the Mississippi? 0. So what is the urgency
In fact,
for the bump
there
stock?
was only one incident.
The Mandalay
Yeah.
in Nevada.
Right.
The other side of the Mississippi. And you know something? There's 7 official timelines, and the 7th one doesn't have no reflection at all to the first one. They don't know what happened there.
Yeah. They still haven't resolved what
know.
took place there. So.
So I'm telling you right now, can you realize you could? It's a bad analogy, but if you get a bump stock, you could be in jail for life.
Yeah.
But if you rape several people, you may get only 10 years. It's the craziest law we've ever had, and for what reason? It's political expediency. And most of these legislators have never seen a bump stock, let alone fire one. Have you seen one?
No.
I've seen them. I've fired with them. Now, to be honest, I can fire a lot more accurately and quicker without one.
Yeah.
But the second shot in a bump stock is terrible, because the first shot you aim.
Yeah.
The second shot goes on the recoil. You can't aim on a recoil.
You can do better using your semi-automatic,
Absolutely.
and almost as fast.
Some you could do faster.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're experienced, you could actually do it.
Exactly right. And whenever I go target shooting with my friends, we have we got scattered targets. In other words, we got targets that are numbered, and then somebody will call out the numbers, and so you got to go to the numbers, and you got to be accurate while he's calling out the numbers. And so it's also speed and muscle control. And if you could never do that with a bump stock, but you can do it with a regular rifle or handgun. And what I have on my sights is what we call a Seazol. So you're not limited by a scope. You got a delta, and you put the delta on the target.
Oh, okay.
You pick it right out. So it's beautiful.
Yeah. The incident in Mandalay, he probably could have killed more people if he didn't have a bump stock, because he would have been able to aim at him.
Can I tell you something about that? Here's the Mandalay issue. I have been told by good sources that there was a woman who saw glass being broken out of the Mandalay. She was on the cell phone, and she saw that. So she looked up, and she took her cell phone, whoever she was on the phone with, she got off the phone, and she started videoing it, because she thought it was unusual, glass breaking output.
Yeah.
So she's videoing it, and as she's videoing it, she sees glass breaking out of the corner as well. So you got 2 places where glass is being broken out. Then nothing, then a flash, then nothing, little time goes, and then there's shooting out of 2 at the same time. There's a problem with the Mandalay. No question about it. And the sheriff, I think what's his name? Lombardo or Lombard? I think that's his name.
Yeah, something like that.
Now, he comes out every so often to try to give the press something. I think he's trying to tell us everything he knows. The government just knows something. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but when I hear all these other things that are out there, and they give us 7 timelines, and the first one doesn't reflect, there's no reflection between the first and second,
Yeah.
there's something wrong.
And so the supposed shooter was dead, so, okay, that's the end of it.
Well, there's the problem.
Yeah, that isn't the end of it. We like to know what.
And how about this? How about the security guy? All of a sudden, he's gone for a while, and now he's back.
Yes.
You think somebody told him what to say? There's something terribly wrong with that whole scenario, and it gets worse every time somebody else comes up with something. So to use that to say bump stocks kill people is absolutely nuts. People, bump stocks don't kill anybody. Guns don't kill anybody. People kill people.
Yeah.
And the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. See, how come we understand this?
In London, they got a problem with stabbings.
Oh, it's nutty.
So, people,
Yep.
there's plenty of ways to kill people.
I'll say.
So,
How about when they're using box cars or box trucks? Now they're going down
Yeah.
the highways with box trucks and they're wiping out people who are sitting out in open air restaurants.
yeah,
All right. How about here in Massachusetts? Boston Marathon, 2013. They use pressure cookers. By the way,
Yes.
there's supposed to be more going off. I heard that they found other pressure cookers that did not go off.
I haven't heard, but
Yeah.
that's a strong possibility.
Now, here's the problem I have with all this. Active intelligence. See, we do not, people, when I become your Attorney General, I will act on active intelligence. We know, and then we've done an investigation, we know that the Russian Federation, no friends of ours,
Right.
the intelligence services of the Russian Federation warned us about
Yes.
the Zelaya brothers.
Yeah.
They warned us,
Yep.
and we did nothing with that intelligence.
They weren't even watching them.
I know. And what really bothers me, and I'm going to get into this about Maura Healey later when she tried to block Trump's temporary travel ban.
Yeah.
The Zanaya brothers were here on political asylum. This is what political asylum says. I can't stay in my home country because they're going to kill me.
Yeah.
So they come here on a political asylum visa and visit once a year?
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
And not only that, pick up welfare.
I know. Oh, it's nuts. And so we got to this the whole
Well, that's what I
thing.
want to get into with you.
This whole thing has to be revamped. I mean, come on. They get EBT cards. I'm wondering if they were able to use them over there like debit cards. Of the old country, because you can certainly use them on a cruise ship and down in the
Yeah.
Caribbean, or at the Mandalay.
The thing is that we had immigration in the past. They came here, they had to make their way.
Right.
Because they weren't going to get any help.
That's right.
But now you come here illegally and you get help.
Or this judge up in Salem is if you get caught selling 40 bags of heroin,
Yeah.
that's okay. We'll protect you. We're sending the wrong message. That's all right. Come on in here. We'll protect you. If you're not a U.S. citizen, we'll make sure you don't go to jail.
Why isn't there something being done about him?
Well, the judge?
Yeah, Judge Feely.
Okay, Judge Timothy Feely up in Essex County, sitting in Salem. Here's the thing. I believe that there are articles of impeachment that have been drawn up. They may have presented to the legislature, but the legislature has to vote on it. See, it's very, very
Well, now
difficult.
it's not going to happen until after next January because they're out of session.
I'll tell you what, it's very, very difficult to impeach a judge in Massachusetts. The last time a judge was impeached in Massachusetts, John Adams was still alive. So that's how long it was. But this judge, apparently, he's become the poster child to me for elected judges. Because if you elect judges like they do in about half the states, if you elect a judge and the judge goes off the reservation and starts letting guys loose and all kinds of stuff and the public is in an uproar, it only takes 500 signatures and you get a recall petition. And then what happens in a recall petition is in 60 days, they hold an election. Now, in 60 days, there's two questions to be asked. It says, do you recall Judge Smith? If the answer is yes, then you vote for whoever's running as his replacement. If you say no and the no's win, then Judge Smith stays there. If
Right.
Judge Smith is thrown out, then whoever else wins the majority vote at that same election becomes his successor. Now, this is not without precedent. We've seen it done in California. Do you remember a governor there named Gray Davis?
Oh, yes.
Everybody used to say he's the guy, his first name is a color,
Yep.
Gray. Gray Davis was a terrible governor.
Oh, my God.
And so they did a recall petition, and Arnold Schwarzenegger became the
Became
governor.
governor, yes.
Okay. Well, what happened was you went to the they got the petition to recall Gray Davis. Gray Davis has to fight for his job if he wants it. So he's campaigning, please don't recall me. So the question on the ballot is, the very first question is, do you recall Gray Davis? yes or no. It's either one. You check yes, and then if you check yes, you go down and you vote. Well, you can check yes or no, but
Yeah.
you still can vote for his replacement.
Right.
So then you replace. So Arnold Schwarzenegger got the most votes on the recall, and when the recall carried, he was the next guy,
Yep.
and he got sworn in the next couple of days. So that's how you do it. Now we did that here in Massachusetts about 6 years ago in Fall River. They had a mayor down there in Fall
Yes.
River. I think his name was Viveros. I'm not really sure, so you can't hold me to the name. But he was up. They got a recall petition because they didn't like what he was doing, and so a friend of mine who was the district attorney of Bristol County, Sam Sutter, got enough signatures to get on the ballot in the event that the mayor got recalled. And the mayor did get recalled, and Sam became the replacement mayor.
Yes.
So there's precedent in
Oh,
Massachusetts.
yeah,
for that.
it's happened in the past.
And the reason
We had a recall election in my town a number of years ago, I think about 10 years ago now, on a selectman.
right.
And it didn't, they ended up winning, they didn't get recalled, but
Okay.
it came close.
Yep.
But it sent a message, and then when they came up for re-election, then only, there was 3 recalled, 2 of them didn't run for re-election.
Yeah, because they knew the tide was against them. The public did not like what they did. Well, some of the things that these judges are doing, cutting guys loose who should be in jail. For instance, Judge Feely again. This guy, this particular defendant was being held. I think I could have the numbers wrong. $35,000 bail by a district judge. The appeal went to the Superior Court, and I forgot how much he let him out on. I think it was either 5 or 15 or something like that. But he let the guy out, and the guy goes up to Maine and kills a deputy sheriff in Maine.
And you let them out so you could make a living.
Well, that was the
Yeah,
I
come
know.
on.
I know. So it just
his-
gets crazy.
His occupation was selling drugs.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Well, that's the one. I'll tell you which one that is. That's the 40 bags of heroin that the Salem cops caught the guy. They're
Yeah.
ready to go, and then they're ready to go to trial. Got it all together. The defense attorneys were waiting to see if they were ready because a lot of times the government's not, but they were this time. So they folded. They said they had their jury already, but they folded. They said, we're going to plead out. And the judge says, you know what you're doing? We're ready to go here for trial. No, we're going to plead out. Okay, we'll take the plea. So he took the plea, and the lawyers said, the government asked for 3.5 in the state prison. It was a mild sentence, but the district attorney asked for that. It was a good deal for the defendant. He should have gone 15 years.
Yep.
If I was there, or my office was prosecuting it, I'd have asked for 15 years, and I'd have made sure I got it, or else I would have appealed the sentence. But this is what they did. The government asked for 3.5. The defense attorney said, Judge, seriously, the guy's just trying to provide for his family. It's an economic crime. I'm thinking, bank robbery's an economic crime, but we
Yeah.
don't give that a pass.
Right.
Oh, how nutty was this? So the judge bought it. The judge said to the guy, look, if you were a United States citizen, I'd have put you in jail right now. You'd have gone right now. But because you're here on a green card, I'm going to give you probation because I think it's just an economic crime. So, like you said, so what's this guy going to do? If he was a carpenter and he's out of jail, he goes back to carpentry.
Yep.
If he's a mechanic and he's out of jail, he goes back to doing mechanics. If you're a drug trafficking thug, you go back to selling drugs, and you got to make up for the loss. What do you think your suppliers are going to say? Hey, it's all right, you lost 40 bags. No, they want the money.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes these judges, I think the air in some of these courthouses are a little stale because they come up with some of the most loony things.
Well, here again in Massachusetts, we all know how you get, you're a lawyer, you know how you get a judgeship.
Sure.
You make the largest contribution to the governor, and if he gets elected, you get on the list. And then all you got to do is get past the governor's council.
That's true. You got to get past the governor's council because they vote on it.
Yep.
However, let's just, if I can just say this with a straight face, to give the governor's council just to give them a little bit of slack. They're not clairvoyant. They're interviewing lawyers
Yep.
who are giving them their best pitch
Right.
so that they get voted on. So they are probably saying stuff like, I intend to be law and order. I've been on both sides of the bar. I've been a prosecutor. I've been a defense attorney. But you're not going to hold being a defense attorney against me, are you? I know what needs to be done in the law. So that's probably what these counselors are hearing. I mean, they don't know that this guy's going to go nutty left and start cutting people out, letting people out of jail.
Right.
Here's what I have a problem with the judges. When they try to do paroles work, our job as prosecutors is to put people in jail who are evil, who are doing and committing crimes. And if you're a purveyor of poison, like this guy up in Salem was, see, he wasn't even an addict. He had 40 bags of heroin, and he was not even an addict. That means he's an evil businessman.
Right. Well, that's the smart distributors, because they don't use it themselves.
Right.
But they make a ton of money on it.
Yeah, they do. Now, and to add a little flavor to this, his brother was already in jail for 2.5 years for selling heroin in Gloucester, where the district court judge put him in jail. So we got a family of felons here who are here on green cards. I'm telling you what, deport them, get rid of them. We don't need that. That's the kind of citizen we don't need in Massachusetts. And I think Trump is right when Trump says, listen, we should not just let anybody in here. We need to let quality people who have merit base, who are going to contribute to our society, not take out of our benevolent programs, which, by the way, are for our own people. We don't want to have people coming in here taking on welfare. Welfare is for our people.
Right.
We want people who are going to be productive, who are going to be tax contributors.
Well, let's get into, we're going to run out of time here. I want to get
I'm
into.
going to have to come back.
Yeah, I'd like to have you back.
We can do that.
You're running for Attorney General,
Yes.
and obviously you don't agree with the current one.
No, I do not. In almost every aspect.
Yep.
She came out, I'll give you a good example of a good contrast between me and her.
That's what I want to get out.
Okay, it goes like this. When Judge Feely, rhymes with Healy,
Yeah.
when he let that guy out, there was a rally, not a riot, but a rally by the citizens of Salem
Yes.
on the steps.
Yep.
They asked me to come up and speak, and I did. I said, this decision and decisions like it are sending the wrong message. We're sending the wrong message in Massachusetts. We're encouraging drug trafficking thugs to come here to Massachusetts. We are not letting law enforcement know we got their back. Not with that kind of decision. All the work that went in by the Salem police to grab that guy and catch him and just to cut him loose, we're sending the wrong message. Now, I came out and said that. I said, law enforcement needs to know we've got their back. We need to support them, and we don't need to do parole's job from the bench. My position is extreme prosecution for the purveyors of this poison. We'll put them away or drive them out of the state. Either way makes no difference with me. We've got an opiate crisis here in Massachusetts, people. We got people dying on a daily basis. The only way to address it is to address it aggressively. Maura Healey, just on the opposite. She could not be further opposite from me. She says the Massachusetts sentencing guidelines are too harsh. We need a safety valve. I say the safety valve is in parole. Guy does well, parole sees it, they decide to cut him loose, let them do their job.
Yep.
But she says it's harsh. I say they're not. I say the guidelines are not harsh enough. That's number one. Number two, this Judge Feely and people like him, those decisions are causing cops to get killed. Corporal Cole, for instance. Down on the Cape, we had Sergeant Gannon killed in April. He was killed by a guy they're calling 125. In 2010, 125 was convicted of 27 counts of illegal possession of a firearms. We have a Bartley-Fox law here in Massachusetts. The mandatory sentence, the mandatory minimum is 1 year mandatory for each count of illegal possession of a firearms. Now look.
You know of anyone who got convicted on it?
Well, two. Since in the last 43 years.
43 years.
But it's a tool for law enforcement, and it's a minimum sentence. So, if the judge in 125's case in 2010 sentenced him on the minimum mandatory and still obeying the law, this drug trafficking thug, because he was,
Yeah.
this drug trafficking thug would have still been in jail today.
Right.
And Sean Gannon would have, at the end of his shift, would have gone home
Yep.
to his wife and family and not to the morgue.
Right.
Here's my point. We are sending the wrong message in Massachusetts. We should, if we had done the minimum mandatory, that guy would have been in jail till 2037, or at least by the time parole cut him loose, he would have still been in jail right now because they're going to have to do it 1/3. So he would have still been in jail, and we would have had the mayhem we had. Instead, they cut him loose, and they were there to arrest him on a probation violation warrant, and he couldn't even do that right. So my point is, we've got to do better here in Massachusetts when it comes to
Well,
that.
isn't
And
she-
I'm the guy that'll do it.
Isn't she spending a lot of time on things that she shouldn't even be involved with?
She's suing Trump. 38 lawsuits against President Trump,
Yeah.
and they're all as nutty as the first one.
Yeah, and you know, it not, those aren't free.
No. I have been I've been involved in big federal cases. I represented some franchisors and franchisees, and they're usually insurance cases. So I've been there where there's been a lot of lawyers on one side, a lot of lawyers on the other. Let me give you how it works in this case with Maura Healey. She sends in a couple of dozen lawyers. They're going to sue the Trump administration. Trump's got to send down a couple of dozen to
Yep.
defend.
Yep.
Okay? So it's a big debate fest. The judge, the district court, federal district court judge, is the debate master.
Yep.
He knows these cases are going nowhere. And yet they discuss and talk about the statutes and the definition of words and what is, and all this nonsense. And I'll tell you what, the cases never go anywhere. There are no winners, but there is a loser. It's the Massachusetts taxpayer, because
Yeah.
you're paying for both sides.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously, to the
Right.
tunes of millions.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you something. I'll make a promise right here now on your show that when I become the Attorney General, I'm going to dismiss all those nutty lawsuits. I am just going to end it because it's nonsense. There's no need to hire people to do this when there's public corruption all over the place, and I hear about it in every city where I'm at, and she's doing
Yeah,
absolutely
and
nothing
nothing's being
about
done
it.
about that.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing's being done about it. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna.
Look what was going on in the Senate with the Senate president.
Oh, she won't touch that. She won't touch Troopergate.
No,
They're
Troopergate. Yeah,
they're
that's
leaving
another
it
one.
for Andrew Lelling, who, by the way, is a good guy. He is the U.S. attorney. He's got to clean up our mess. No, Massachusetts, this is our house. We clean our house.
Yeah.
If Maura Healey won't do it, and she won't, I'll
shouldn't-
do it.
You shouldn't have to have the U.S. attorney handle that.
Listen, they handle all the federal law enforcement stuff, all the federal law enforcement assets. They deal with it. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. When I become the Attorney General, I'm going to establish joint state and federal task forces to deal with the heroin and the fentanyl, because that's what 80% of our people are dying of.
Yep.
And I will deal with that and go after it. Her tactic is a little bit different. She's going after CVS and Walgreens.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's not like CVS and Walgreens are saying, hey, we're selling Vicodin on sale this week, a dozen for $10. It's not like you can get it over the counter. You got to get a script from a doctor in order to get these things. And yet, I don't know, she's just crazy.
I mean, you might find some independent pharmacies, some small guys that'll do that. But you're not going to find a chain. There's nothing in it for them to do that.
Look, there have been doctors who have overprescribed. We got one down on the Cape. His name was Dr. Brown. Dr. Brown is now, well, he's at the SPA in Danbury, the federal SPA in Danbury, because he was overprescribed. DEA went in and got him. And when you got a doctor that goes off the reservation and starts handing them out like candy, you got to do what you got to do.
Well,
But everybody
DEA is
knows,
doing a lot of that now.
and sometimes without assistance from us.
I forget what state it was, but there was I think it's in West Virginia. They were investigating a pharmacy and the doctors because they're giving out millions of pills.
Right.
And there's a population of about 12,000.
Telling you. Overdoing it to giving it to everybody like
But
candy.
then we also got the synthetic stuff coming across the border, coming in from China. And I agree with Trump. You got to build the wall. The wall isn't just to keep illegals out; it's to keep drugs out.
It's just the other way around. It's to keep the drugs out, and collaterally, it will keep the illegals out.
Right.
Yes, because, see, the cartels know that they're going to lose 50% of their shipment. It's a cost of doing business.
Yep.
They're okay with that because they're making money on the other 50%. So it's all coming across. So when that wall goes up, that is going to stop. Now, Trump knows it, and he's doing everything he can to get this wall up. And the Democrats are just stonewalling the thing. Stonewalling it. They won't let it happen. And you got to ask yourself, whose side are they on?
Well, I think what the long-range plan is eventually to get illegals the right to vote. And you see it going on. Look in San Francisco.
It's got to be, right? It's got to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be. Now, I'll tell you what, in Massachusetts, as you know, I've been all over the state. I've been in Berkshire County. Berkshire County has a real problem, and it gets exacerbated by the governor of New York. Can you imagine somebody saying, America was never that great, and it's not that great now?
I know.
You know what I wanted to say to him? Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, said that, folks. He said He said that America has never been that great. Now, this is a guy running for re-election who should not be. I'm telling you, when I heard that, I wanted to shout into the TV. I wanted to say, Andrew, how dare you say that here in the United States? Your father, Mario, who was the governor of New York several years ago before George Pataki, your father would be disgraced to hear you say that, because his parents came over, got on the boat, came over from the old country to here because they knew America was great, and they did it so that you could have a silver spoon in your mouth. And this is the way you treat this country? Why don't you take care of your border? You've got fentanyl and heroin flowing across into Berkshire County like it was Niagara Falls. And we're going to stop that. When I become the AG, I'm going to stop that. But I'm telling you right now, we got a problem out there. They got two cities. They got Pittsfield, they got North Adams. North Adams is the smallest city now in Massachusetts. Used to have 100,000 more people than it does now. It's got the highest crime rate per capita. We got to put an end to that. Yeah, well, they got drugs flowing across the border from New York. It's a corridor. And it's a wide open sewer just pouring into Massachusetts.
And that was a nice
We're going to
city
end
up
that.
there. That was a nice city up there.
It was. It's still a beautiful city.
Yeah.
But I mean, crime is rampant. I will do something about that.
You know, and right next to a really nice community where the college is, right next to it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful area.
It is beautiful. It's God's country out there. Whenever I go out there, I'll say that. I'll say, this is God's country.
Route 2.
Yeah, the Mohawk Trail. Yeah. Well, here's another issue. I say to the people out there, how do you like paying your share of the big dig? Oh, my goodness, it starts a riot when I say that. I say, I know about the Mohawk Trail. I took a motorcycle ride out, a motorcycle motorcade through Western Massachusetts. The crowds were great. People loved it. They knew I was coming. It was we put it in the press and everything, and I absolutely loved going out there and seeing all the people. I've been out there plenty of times before, but I decided to we'll do a motorcycle motorcade and have some fun. So we go up through... Route 5 from West Springfield, and then we went from the Mohawk Trail. We went on the Mohawk Trail. Route. It's beautiful scenic route, but listen to this: it's a double-barrel highway coming out of Boston to Greenfield.
Yes.
Then it does become a trail.
Are you talking Route 2?
Yes.
Actually, it ends right around Winchton.
Right. But my point is that it is a trail after you get through Greenfield.
Oh, after Greenfield, and you start climbing up into the mountains.
But they did repave it. They just paved it recently, so it's a beautiful, smooth road. Yeah, it is got to be one of the most gorgeous highways in the area.
And you get the hairpin turn.
In Florida into North Adams, that hairpin turn. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful scenic overlook. And then you got Williamstown, and then
You couldn't widen that though, because it would take away the beauty of it.
Well, I was looking at it. It could be widened. It could take on some traffic. See, here's the problem with North Adams. It's left without any highways to get there, so you don't have truck traffic.
Well, Pittsfield the same way.
I know. I mean,
that
Route 7 is way overburdened.
You got a good track from the Mass Pike up to Pittsfield.
I know.
You can get to Stockbridge quicker than you can get to Pittsfield from the Mass Pike.
That's absolutely right. And so there's an issue with that. And it's an issue with some of them out there. And they're like, that you're talking a $1 billion big dig that had a $12 billion override.
Yep.
And you got them out there saying, we got Route 7, which is, in some places, there's only 2 lanes, one in each direction.
Yeah.
So that's why those cities are suffering out there.
Yeah, because transportation is everything today.
Right. Absolutely.
Years ago was the train transportation, and that worked out well because they had good train
Right.
service. But that's gone. You need
It's
that
gone.
truck transportation now.
Absolutely. That's what you need. That's what you need. But it's still beautiful out there. I love every time I go out there. I've been out there a dozen times since I've been campaigning.
Oh yeah, I worked out in that area on the road. Beautiful up through the mountains and God's country.
It is God's country. I call it that every time I'm out there.
And some of those towns are so small.
Yep.
It's unbelievable.
Yep. And you drive through them. Like I said, when we finished the motorcade, we went to Pittsfield, then we went down to Lee. There was a candidates forum down in Lee, and so I spoke at the candidates forum, and then the rest of us guys mounted up again, and we went Route 20 back to West Springfield. And Route 20 was a very nice woodsy road.
Yes.
And we went through a lot of towns, and I would have thought that some of the towns we went through, we would at least see sort of villagey type, you know.
No.
Nope, just woods.
When I was a young man and was out in Albany, New York, and took Route 20 back just for the scenic route of it. Beautiful.
Yep, absolutely.
No, I couldn't do that today because my wife would get mad. I like to take the scenic route.
They're fun.
Yeah.
They're fun, and
Used
there
to take
wasn't
Route 2 all the way out to Troy, New York.
and there wasn't a whole lot of traffic either. Yeah,
No.
I know what you mean about going out to Troy. Troy is a nice area too, as well,
Yep.
in New York. Yep,
Part of the Tri-City out there.
yep. All nice area out through there.
Yep.
Yep, right on and you go right, and then you can go right from Troy into Vermont or whatever.
Yeah.
Nice, it's
Well,
nice up that area.
Up to Champlain and
Yeah.
oh God.
I know.
I like taking going up by Lake Champlain and taking the ferry over to New York out of the big city there.
Right, Rutland, I think, or
No, Rutland's got the
yep,
ferry, but
yep.
Bernie Sanders' hometown, home of the University of Vermont. That's why you get all the professors up there. It's just like we got we got to be going, man, but we got out in Western Mass. We got that little conclave out there called Amherst.
Yes.
You see what they fly for a flag on the town common?
Yeah, they got the United Nations flag.
Yeah, I mean, this is I take people out there and show it to them. They can't believe it.
Yeah,
I said, well, what do you want? All those college professors are on the board of selectmen.
they that's what you get.
So we got a little communist nation out in the middle of Massachusetts.
Seems like it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we got a couple minutes here. Want to address the people?
Just want to say, look, we got a primary coming up this Tuesday, September 4. And I'm going to ask you to take a Republican ballot and vote for me for your next Attorney General. I want you to go to my website, if you would, please. It's www.attorney, spell out the word attorney, J-A-Y, McMahon, MCMAHON.com. I'm also on Facebook at Attorney J. McMahon, also on Twitter, J. McMahon for AG. Check us out. You're going to see all my positions. You're going to see that I am the Second Amendment advocate. I am the best advocate for the Second Amendment of all the candidates running anywhere in any race. I am the guy you want as your next Attorney General. When you look at my programs, you will see I have a heart for the opiate addict. My son died of opiates, and so I've got some skin in this game. This is Massachusetts. We can do something for the opiate addict, and I will do that. I will work hard for you. I will be accountable to you. I will listen to you. And your public safety is my #1 concern. I'm not going to do all kinds of silly lawsuits against President Trump. What I'm going to do is give the president his due. When I see the president using his policies, and we've got the lowest unemployment rate for African Americans ever since the foundation of the country. We got the lowest for Hispanics ever. We've got 2 points above the lowest for women ever. Folks, I can see it, and you can see it. The economy is going well. It's not a blip on the screen. It's doing well. We got manufacturing jobs coming back to this country. The president is doing a good job. He wants to do something with the opiate crisis. I know I can present a program in which we will go from a 99% failure to an 87 to 90% success rate in opiate recovery. We have it here in Massachusetts. We have the technology. We just need somebody in high office that's going to jam this thing through. I'm the guy that will do that. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to vote for me next Tuesday. Pick a Republican ballot if you're unenrolled. I'm the guy on the top of the ballot in our race for Attorney General. My name on the ballot is James R. McMahon III, and I'm from Bourne. I'm going to ask you to vote for me. After you vote for me, I'm going to, if I win the primary, which I expect to, I got to run against Maura Healey on November 6th, and that's where we are going to throw her out of office with your help. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for coming in, Jay.
Thank you.
Wish you a lot of luck.
Let's do this again
Computer's
soon,
going
all
to
right?
shut me off in a second here.
We'll do it again.
We'll do it again,
okay?
yes.
Because we'll cover
Yes.
a whole bunch of stuff that we had. This was fun.
We'll
I love this kind of
We'll do
discussions.
it for 2 hours.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
I will do it. I promise you.
yeah, we're committed. So if
Yes.
you vote for Jay, he gets on the ballot, he's in the election on November 8th, he'll be here between now and November 8th.
I will, between
Okay.
now and November 6th.